So in the full review video, we didn't touch on PDFs at all. It's because it's gone from just being a basic feature to a full-blown feature. So there's so much to cover. This is a 2017 baseball PDF. Yes, it's old, but it offers a good amount of text, grayscale elements, etc. First thing we're just going to start off with is navigation. You can swipe left and right with your fingertip. You can long press things as well, which is very nice, and it happens really quick. You can do dotted underline, squiggle underline, straight underline, and you can actually do a couple different highlights. You can delete what you've just done. You can search, you can have it read back, search the web, translate. And when you go translate, you do get a bunch of options here. You get 4 pages, so about 20 different languages you can translate into. And it does use Google Translate, and you do have another option as well. You have Baidu Translator as well, so that might work a little better if you're doing Chinese text. So going back out, you can do pinch and zooms as well. Now, if you're wondering why it's a little bit slow, it's because we're on full quality mode, we'll call it. So if you swipe down from the top, we do have 4 modes here. So you have normal mode, speed mode, A2, and X mode. X mode is going to be your go-to for anything that you want to happen fast. So you can actually watch videos on this device. Yes, you can. And pinching and zooming actually speeds up in a more fluid fashion. Now you see, although it's quick, you do have a lot of staining, and that's because they lower the quality of the image in order to give you a faster experience. But for the sake of this video, we want everything to look good, so we're going to leave it on there. Tapping in the center, you do have some options down below. You have, we'll start with table of contents. So it is side-loaded, so you won't find table of contents immediately accessible for things that don't have it embedded in the file, which means the PDF you download has to have a table of contents, or else there's nothing to click on, there won't be any links, etc. Tapping back in the center, you have progress. This will swipe through the magazine really quick, get some sports statistics. It's not a good looking page, so we'll get right back out of there. Format's going to be your go-to. This is where you'll change columns. So you'll see column isolates itself to the right, to the left, direction, zoom level, although you do have pinch and zoom, so it's not too useful, and crop. You can crop the page as you see fit, crop all borders, sides only, etc. You do have crop step as well, so you can go step by step and it gives you this little bar, so that's very nice. You do have contrast as well. You can actually increase and decrease watermarking if there's certain watermarks on the page. You can see that it's isolating this element right here on the page, and it knows where it is, and you can actually control that separately. You do have sharpen as well, makes everything a little more crisp. You have both image contrast, you see how it just affects the image, and text contrast, so you can actually isolate the text only, and it'll blacken that, and you can have embolden as well. This doesn't work on every side loaded content. We have found it only works on some, like the table of contents. Reflow as well, we're not going to go into because it's not really that useful of a feature. It's nice to have, but it doesn't really work all that great, and it's not Onyx's fault, it's just the whole reflow in and of itself. What it does is it goes through the entire book. Not only does it take a long time to do it, it strips away a lot of the elements on the screen and tries to stack just the text on the screen, but it never ends up looking very good. And you see you have a bunch of different columns and a lot of settings here. We're not going to go into that because very few people actually use reflow, and trust us, it doesn't really work that great all the time. Navigation. You do have some cool navigation modes here. You can go comic mode, which means you can go cell by cell. So it'll isolate the page into 4 sections, and then you can swipe page by page, and it'll actually just be each quarter, like so. You can, of course, press the X to get out of there and go to article mode as well. Article mode's more of the same. It isolates it into 4, except it goes left to right instead of comic mode being right to left, because comic mode is mostly used for manga, which is why they start over on the right. More settings. You do have a bunch of different stuff down here. You can grid 3x3, 1, which isn't really a grid at all, it's just one page, and you can do directions. You have directional stuff here as well, so there's lots of customization that you can choose And if at any point you want to get out, you just press reset and it'll reset you back to the very beginning like that. Split view we're going to save to the very end. Right now we're going to look at Scribble. Now the beauty of Onyx is that once you have the device open, we're not on Scribble mode. You can actually just start scribbling on it. And a lot of early devices didn't allow you to do this. They had to go into 2 or 3 steps in order to draw with the pen. But Onyx now has allowed you to do this right out of the gates. And the pressure sensitivity works perfectly fine. You can see you can write very lightly or very heavily. Now, if you do so happen to go into Scribble mode, which is good because you want to, you get a lot of the settings you get in the note-taking mode. So you get different brushes, pens, triangles, circles, shapes, line thickness. You even get colors. So you get black, dark gray, medium gray, light gray, white, red, green, and blue. If you've seen our note-taking video, you'll notice that these ones right here, these 4 are colors. This one, white, effectively just erases the screen and turns it to the background color. And then red, green, and blue don't really show up on the screen. They do show up, but you won't know that's red until you export it. And this is good for grading papers and stuff. You can go X, X, X like that, and then those will be wrong. And when you export it, those strokes will actually be red. On the PDF on your computer, not on here, of course. So you do get some nice colors there. You get some ways to erase as well. Stroke eraser or erase all. You can use the stroke eraser, or you can just use the back of the pen like that. Or if we go back to the paintbrush, you have to reinitialize that every time. If you go here, you can use the side button, and that erases there as well. You can correct your mistake or correct your correction. You can save it, or you can export, so you can embed it into the PDF or export the PDF. And then you have collapse and a bookmark in the top right corner. So for this part, we're going to keep it not anchored down because this is split view. So we have a couple different ways here, and this is what we really want to focus on. We have current document, which means we can split it page by page, side by side, and you get kind of the little centerfold in the middle, which is really cool. So as you swipe the pages, you can see we've split the same document. Now we can press the back button, go back here, and we can go split view, different document. And why you would want to do this is because we actually have an ebook on this side. It's an actual ebook, and our same PDF on this side, the same baseball one. And you can draw on both of these, but you can't draw right away. You have to toggle between them. For example, if I'm right on here and then I go over here, it won't write right away. It needs that second stroke in order for it to know you've toggled, see? So then you can do it here, then you can do it. There you go. It takes a second because it needs to toggle between both views, and you can't cross over. You see it stops because this is a separate document. It's actually isolating the UI right now into 2 different sides. This one being probably the most useful is document plus note. So this is your full note-taking experience on this side. This is everything you would have found in the note-taking video that we did. And there's everything here. This is actually everything. You can do insert picture, Photoshop elements of, changing PNG images and whatnot. You have all of your colors here. This is the full note-taking experience, which is very nice because now you can take your notes on this side and you can read your book or your, your documents on this side, educational textbooks and whatnot, and you can keep notes and do all the same things you want to do on this side with your respective book, and then on this side you can take notes. But once again, you do have that toggle thing where you can't actually go into each device, each respective side on the same device. You have to toggle in between. The last one we want to show you is kind of useful, but only really for ebooks or PDFs that have definitive text elements on the screen, is page translation. Page translation is really cool because it's actually translating the book live. So you just have it open here. For example, I have Charles Dickens, which is a free public domain book. I have it here, and all I have to do is just swipe and swipe and swipe. And within a second, it translates it into, well, in my particular standpoint here, it translates it into Japanese. But you can choose all these different languages, the same languages you had on the other screen we showed you, and you can increase the text like that. And then as you swipe the page, it literally translates it live for you. It loads for what, a third of a second every once in a while as you're swiping along, because it needs to constantly call the internet. But yeah, it's pretty impressive, because no device has done this thus far. Amazon devices and even prior Onyx devices had the whole long press ability to go like that, and then you go ahead and select translate. But this one is doing a live translation, which is actually quite nice, and it's very refreshing to see features like this in 2020. This is basically it for the PDF experience. If you guys have any other questions, comments, or concerns, or anything else you want to see on the Nova 2, you let us know, because we have this in the studio and we do constant coverage on this, and we do request videos. So if there's something you want us to compare it to, etc., let us know for goodyreader.com and a PDF experience on the Nova 2. This is Peter.